Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we are going to be looking at something that sounds a little bit like it's out of a sci-fi movie.
Okay.
It's sleep deprivation psychosis.
Uh-huh.
You know how, like, if you've had a really bad night of sleep, you might feel a little foggy,
Yeah,
a little out of sorts?
definitely.
Well, imagine that, but magnified like 100 times to the point where
Oh, wow.
your brain actually starts playing tricks on you.
Like it's short-circuiting.
Yeah, exactly. And that is what we are going to be unpacking today
Okay.
using an article called Sleep Deprivation Psychosis, Understanding the Neuropsychiatric Impact of Severe Sleep Deprivation.
Mm-hmm.
And this is from ZenFit Pulse.
Okay.
And it really breaks down what happens when we push our brains
Yeah.
past their limits.
It's fascinating. You know, we often think of sleep as a luxury, but it's really like essential maintenance for our brain.
Exactly. So let's start with like the basics.
Okay.
What exactly sleep deprivation psychosis? Because I mean, it sounds pretty intense.
It is essentially it's a temporary state of mental dysfunction that's brought on by severe sleep loss.
Okay.
So think of it as your brain waving a giant red flag and saying, "Hey, I need some rest stat."
And what happens during that red flag state? Like, what are some of the symptoms that people might experience?
Well, it can vary from person to person,
Sure.
but some common symptoms include hallucinations,
Oh, wow.
paranoia, extreme mood swings, and even delusional thinking.
Really?
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
might see or hear or even feel things that aren't actually there.
So that's really interesting. I mean, I know I get a little grumpy when I'm tired, but I've never hallucinated.
Right.
So how long do you have to stay awake for before things start to get that weird?
Well, it's not an exact science,
Okay.
but the article outlines kind of a scary progression as the sleep deprivation worsens.
Okay.
So after just 24 to 36 hours without sleep, you might experience mood swings, irritability, and difficulty concentrating.
Okay. So that's relatable. I think we've all been there after like an all-nighter
Right.
or dealing
Yeah,
with a newborn or something. Yeah.
But then it gets worse.
Unfortunately, yes. Between 36 and 48 hours, your judgment starts to get fuzzy.
Oh, no.
You might have trouble making decisions.
Yeah.
And you might even start hearing phantom noises.
Wow.
Yeah. Your brain is essentially misfiring,
Okay.
sending out these false signals.
So it's like those little glitches you get on your computer screen
Yes.
when it's totally overloaded.
That's a great analogy.
And if you keep pushing past that 48-hour mark,
Mm-hmm.
what happens then?
Things can escalate pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You might start experiencing full-blown hallucinations,
Oh, wow.
feeling like you're being watched or becoming convinced of things that aren't true.
Yeah.
Your brain is struggling to differentiate
Okay.
between what's real and what's not.
That sounds really disorienting
It is.
and even frightening.
Yeah.
And what if you keep pushing past that like 4 or 5 days without sleep?
The article mentions that at that point, the hallucinations intensify.
Oh, gosh.
You might even start experiencing tactile hallucinations.
What does that mean? So feeling things crawling on your skin or touching you when nothing is there.
Wow.
Yeah, and your brain is so desperate for sleep that it starts entering these micro sleep states, meaning you might doze off for a few seconds without even realizing it.
Wait, so you could be falling asleep while you're awake?
Exactly.
That sounds incredibly dangerous,
Maybe-
especially if you're driving or operating machinery.
Exactly, and it just underscores how crucial it is to listen to your body's signals and prioritize sleep.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've established that severe sleep deprivation can lead to some pretty disturbing symptoms.
Yeah.
But is this something that can happen to anyone? Or is there certain people who are more susceptible?
Well, while anyone can experience the negative effects of sleep deprivation,
Sure.
some people are definitely more vulnerable to developing sleep deprivation psychosis.
Okay.
And one of the biggest risk factors is chronic stress.
Stress. Why is that? I mean, I get that stress can keep you up at night,
Right.
but how does that connect to psychosis?
Well, when you're stressed, your body releases a hormone called cortisol.
Oh.
And high levels of cortisol can disrupt your sleep-wake cycles, making it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep.
So it's like a double whammy. Stress
Right.
disrupts your sleep, and then the lack of sleep amplifies the effects of stress.
Precisely. It creates this vicious cycle that can be difficult to break.
Yeah.
The article highlights how cortisol specifically affects areas of the brain like the prefrontal cortex
Mm-hmm.
and the amygdala,
Okay.
which play key roles in emotional regulation and decision-making.
Okay.
So not only are you more likely to feel anxious and irritable, but your ability to think clearly and make sound judgments is also impaired.
So for our listener, if you're chronically stressed and not getting enough sleep,
Yeah.
okay.
When you're sleep deprived, those delivery trucks start to run out of gas, leading to traffic jams and communication breakdowns.
Oh.
That's why you might experience mood swings, difficulty concentrating, and impaired decision-making.
So for our listener, if you're feeling foggy, irritable, or just not yourself after a bad night's sleep,
Yeah.
it could be because your brain's communication system is a bit out of whack.
Exactly, and it's not just about communication. Sleep also plays a crucial role in activating something called the glymphatic system.
The glymphatic system, that sounds intriguing.
It is.
What is that?
Think of it as your brain's nightly cleaning crew while you sleep. This system flushes out toxins and waste products that have accumulated throughout the day.
So when we don't get enough sleep, our brains aren't getting that essential cleaning.
Right, and that buildup of toxins can contribute to brain fog, confusion, and even those psychotic symptoms we talked about earlier.
So getting enough sleep literally helps keep our brains clean and functioning properly. That's amazing. What else happens during sleep that gets messed up when we don't get enough?
Another crucial process is something called cortical connectivity.
Okay.
Which essentially refers to how well different parts of your brain are communicating with each other.
So it's like making sure all the different departments in a company are on the same page.
Exactly. And when we're sleep deprived, this communication breaks down, particularly in areas of the brain responsible for rational thought perception and emotional regulation.
That explains why sleep deprivation can lead to such a wide range of symptoms, from hallucinations to paranoia to impaired judgment.
Exactly. And it underscores just how interconnected our brains are.
Yeah.
And how vital sleep is for keeping everything running smoothly.
Okay, so we've established that sleep deprivation is seriously bad news for our brains.
It is.
But the silver lining here is that these symptoms are generally reversible with proper sleep, right?
That's correct. In most cases, once you catch up on sleep, the symptoms of sleep deprivation psychosis will subside.
Okay.
However, it's important to note that there can be long-term consequences.
Like what?
Especially if you're repeatedly depriving yourself of sleep.
Like what kind of long-term consequences?
Well, chronic sleep deprivation has been linked to an increased risk of chronic diseases.
Oh, wow.
Like heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and even certain types of cancer.
I had no idea the impact could be that far-reaching. So it's not just about feeling tired, it's about protecting your overall health.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the impact on mental health.
Yeah.
Chronic sleep deprivation can worsen existing mental health conditions,
Right.
like anxiety and depression,
Okay.
and even increase the risk of developing new ones.
So it's really a domino effect.
Yeah.
Sleep deprivation affects your brain,
Yes.
which affects your mental and physical health, which
Yeah.
affects your overall well-being.
Exactly. It's all interconnected.
Okay, so given all that,
Yeah.
what can people do to recover from sleep deprivation psychosis
Yeah.
and prevent it from happening in the first place?
Right.
I know our listeners probably thinking, okay, this is all very interesting, but how do I actually make sure I'm getting enough sleep?
That's a great question. And the good news is that there are a lot of practical steps you can take to prioritize your sleep and protect your mental health.
Okay.
And, you don't have to become a sleep guru overnight.
Yeah.
Even small changes can make a big difference.
Awesome. Let's hear them. So where do we even begin? What are some practical tips that people can use to improve their sleep?
Well, one of the most effective strategies is establishing a consistent sleep schedule.
Okay, that sounds simple, Ev. But what does that actually look like in practice?
It's all about going to bed and waking up at roughly the same time each day, even on weekends.
No sleeping in on Saturdays.
I know, it's tough.
This is going to be hard for me. But I see how it could make a difference. Are there any other tips that might be a bit easier to implement?
Of course. Creating a relaxing bedtime routine can do wonders for improving your sleep quality.
Okay.
Think of it as winding down your mind and body before you hit the pillow.
I love that idea. It's like signaling to your brain that it's time to switch off. What are some things that people can incorporate into their bedtime routine?
Well, taking a warm bath, reading a book, or listening to calming music can help relax your mind and body.
Yeah.
You could also try some gentle stretching or deep breathing exercises to release any tension you might be holding.
I've also heard that what you eat and drink before bed can affect your sleep. Is there any truth to that?
Absolutely. Avoiding large meals, caffeine, and alcohol close to bedtime is key.
I know we already talked about caffeine,
Right.
but why is it so important to avoid alcohol before bed? I thought it made you sleepy.
While alcohol might initially make you feel drowsy, it can actually disrupt your sleep later in the night, preventing you from getting those deep, restorative sleep cycles.
Okay.
So even though you might fall asleep faster after a glass of wine, you're likely to wake up feeling groggy and unrested.
So maybe not the best sleep aid after all.
Exactly. And speaking of sleep aids, it's also important to be mindful of your sleep environment.
What do you mean by that?
Creating a sleep sanctuary is all about making your bedroom as conducive to sleep as possible.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How do we turn our bedrooms into sleep sanctuaries?
Well, first and foremost, make sure your bedroom is dark, cool, and quiet.
Okay.
Darkness helps your body produce melatonin naturally, while a cool room temperature promotes deeper sleep. And minimizing noise distractions ensures you're not being woken up throughout the night.
So basically we should be aiming for a cave-like atmosphere.
Pretty much. Invest in some blackout curtains, earplugs if needed, and consider a white noise machine to block out any distracting sounds.
That makes a lot of sense.
Oh,
Any other tips for creating that perfect sleep environment?
make sure your bed is comfortable and supportive.
Okay.
This might seem obvious, but an old mattress or uncomfortable pillows can really impact your sleep quality.
Yeah?
Also, try to reserve your bedroom for sleep and intimacy only.
Okay.
Avoid working, watching TV, or using electronic devices in bed.
So basically train your brain to associate your bedroom with sleep and relaxation,
Exactly.
not with work or screen time.
Right. And finally, if you're really struggling with sleep problems, don't hesitate to seek professional help.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What kind of help is available for people who are having trouble sleeping?
There are a lot of great resources out there.
Good.
Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, or CBTI,
Mm-hmm.
is a very effective therapy that can help you identify and change the thoughts and behaviors that are sleep deprivation,
Yeah,
especially given its potential to trigger or worsen mental health conditions.
absolutely. We don't want to send the message that it's okay to sacrifice sleep for the sake of some fleeting creative burst
Right.
or spiritual insight. The risks simply outweigh any potential rewards.
Exactly. And while some individuals might report experiencing benefits from sleep deprivation,
Yeah.
it's not a sustainable or healthy practice for the vast majority of people.
I think this conversation has really highlighted the importance of respecting our need for sleep and recognizing it as the fundamental pillar of health that it is.
Couldn't agree more. It's time to shift our mindset from viewing sleep as a luxury
Yeah.
to embracing it as a non-negotiable aspect of a healthy and fulfilling life.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. But before we go, I want to leave our listener with one final thought-provoking question.
I love where this is going. Lay on me.
Knowing all that we've learned today about the crucial role sleep plays in maintaining a healthy mind and body,
Mm-hmm.
what small changes can you make today to prioritize your sleep hygiene?
Right.
What one thing will you commit to doing differently to improve your sleep?
That's a great question to ponder. And remember, even small changes can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
But whether it's setting a consistent sleep schedule, creating a relaxing bedtime routine, or simply ditching that afternoon coffee,
Yeah.
take a step today towards prioritizing your sleep. Your brain will thank you.
Could have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And who knows, a good night's sleep might just save you from seeing things that aren't there. Until next time, sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams indeed. And remember, a well-rested mind is a powerful mind.
And on that note, we'll bring this deep dive into sleep deprivation psychosis to a close.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I am definitely feeling inspired to prioritize my sleep a little more after this conversation.
Me too. It's amazing how much we've learned about the power of sleep and how it truly impacts every aspect of our well-being.
Yeah, it's a reminder that we don't have to be superheroes pushing ourselves to the limit.
Right.
Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is simply allow ourselves to rest and recharge.
I love that. It's about giving ourselves permission to prioritize our health and well-being, both mentally and physically.
Well said. So to our listener, we hope this deep dive has left you with some valuable insights and practical tips for improving your sleep.
Yeah.
Remember, even small changes can make a big difference.
And if you're struggling, don't hesitate to reach out for help. There are so many resources available, and you don't have to go through this alone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and most importantly, get those Z's sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams.